Picture this: Toronto's iconic skyline, streets filled with opportunity, and a lifestyle that captures the essence of big city living. Canada's largest city offers world-class dining, vibrant cultural communities, and career opportunities you can't find anywhere else.
A new poll has ranked Toronto Canada's most overrated
When
city.
it comes to traffic, Torontonians don't have a lot of nice things to say.
But what if I told you for some, moving here has been their biggest regret? From skyrocketing house prices and grueling commutes, Toronto isn't always what people make it out to be. Stick around where I share the top reasons people regret moving to Toronto. Toronto is a global hub, and it's often the first choice for newcomers when moving to Canada. So let's dive right into it and start with the obvious reason why people regret moving to Toronto, and that is the cost of housing and the cost of living. If you want to buy a home in the GT area, you can expect to spend anywhere from $1.1 million and up. And if you want to rent in Toronto, you could be looking at spending anywhere from $2,500 to $3,000 a month for a studio or one-bedroom apartment. Now, add groceries, entertainment, and transportation, and it's easy to see why Toronto is one of the most expensive cities in North America. If you're gonna move here, you better be prepared to open up your wallet or have a really high-paying job. If you're not financially prepared to move to Toronto, it can be extremely overwhelming. So you've got over that, you've moved to Toronto, you've bought a house or you've rented a place, and you've got over the idea of spending a ton of money on your real estate. But the next challenge you're gonna face is the commute. The commute can take literally hours to get back and forth from your job, gridlock stretching all the way from the city out to the suburbs. While the TTC or Toronto Transit Commission is really extensive, it can be very overcrowded. It can take a long time to get from downtown out to the suburbs. And of course, there can be delays and breakdowns, which will make your commute even more challenging. If you're accustomed to a seamless transit system, which I'm not sure actually exists, it can be extremely frustrating traveling on the TTC. Now stick around, because at the end of this video, I'm gonna share the #1 regret that people have when moving to Toronto, and trust me, it's going to shock you. The third one to consider in this list is the job market. Now, the Toronto job market is absolutely thriving. However, that makes it extremely competitive. So if you're wanting to get that very specific job, it can be really challenging and take a long time to find the perfect job that pays the most amount of money. This can be especially true for industries such as tech, media, and finance, where the bar is set extremely high. Without a strong network and specialized skills, finding a job for newcomers can be an extremely daunting task. Now, being a big city, life in Toronto, it moves fast. If you're not used to the hustle and bustle and you like the more chill kind of relaxed life, Toronto's probably not the right city for you. Balancing work, your commute, and your social life can take a ton of energy. While Toronto has some fantastic parks like High Park and Toronto Islands, green space can feel limited in such a dense populated city. For families and nature lovers, the ease of outdoor access can be a bit of a downside. You'll often end up having to travel out to the suburbs or even further to get that fresh air and that nature that you're looking for. Now, circling back to Toronto's housing market, even if you can afford to buy or even rent a property in Toronto, you might have a hard time finding the right property that fits your needs. Bidding wars are common and rental vacancies are rare. So what we find is a lot of people end up moving to Toronto and just settling with something because that's all they could find. Now, the last one I want to touch on before the final is the weather in Toronto. Now, I know it's not the harshest climate compared to some other places over the winter, but it still is pretty nasty. Between icy sidewalks, bitter winds, and the unpredicted snowstorms, these winters can feel endless in Toronto. If you're moving from a more mild climate, like say the far west coast, it can be an absolute shock to the system when you experience your first Toronto winter. Now here's the big one you didn't expect, and that is that Toronto can actually feel a little bit isolating even though it has a large population. With over 6 million people in the greater Toronto area, it's really easy to get lost in the crowd. Many newcomers find it hard to build community and connections and also balance that work life in this fast-paced environment. For some, this feeling of disconnection and isolation becomes their biggest regret. So what do you think? Does Toronto still seem like the place for you? Or do all these challenges make you think twice? Let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear what your thoughts are on this beautiful city of Toronto. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and check out my other videos for real estate insights and life in Canada's top cities. See you at the next one.